Before this video starts, huge thanks to Merrick for supporting me over on Patreon. And if you want to find more details or get some handy little sneak peeks, go ahead and join my Discord with the link below. Welcome everybody to Devlog number 12. I've got some massive changes to show to y'all today, so strap in and sprite some popcorn. The entire game has been completely reworked, so let's start from the beginning. I've completely overhauled the art style and color palette. The colors are much more vibrant than they were before, and they actually have a decent contrast with the environment. The background is smoother, and as you just saw, it's used in my new starting menu parallax background. There's also some new menu music to go along with it. I think it's pretty cool. I applied the color palette to pretty much every single sprite in the game, so you'll notice that everything blends together much better than it did before. The dirt, the grass, the trees, the background, it all works. Take a look at some of the old footage versus the new footage. Yeah, there's a pretty big difference. The enemies also got the color palette slapped onto them. There are a couple of new animations in the environment, like the vines in both caves and overworld. A lot of the levels have been completely changed or reworked, adding more content and smoothing the experience and environment out. Items now have an outline to make them pop out, and coins now bounce less and bounce at angles. Along with all of the art changes, enemies now function a lot differently. Slimes explode on death, sometimes releasing one or two baby slimes. The slime warrior will also sometimes explode and release a baby warrior slime. Bats now chase the player correctly and will occasionally charge the player. Shops and houses have been completely re-sprited, now looking smoother than ever. The bow can now be bought in the shop for 75 coins and is significantly faster than it was before. Watch out for the new enemy in the caves, the Silex. It's a tanky, fast, rocky creature that leaps at its enemies. Don't take it lightly. Spikes are much more deadly, so please don't step on them, especially the ones in caves. They're pretty good at using camouflage. Enemies now have varied health and stats, making each individual slightly more unpredictable. Bosses have been polished, with the Cyclops now generating shockwaves with his attacks to repel ranged attackers. No more cheesing that fight. Cutscenes now have black bars to make things more cinematic. By the way, if any of you experienced resolution issues, fear no more. The game scales well enough with most monitor resolutions, so you won't experience extreme view inhibition. The skeleton warrior now blocks projectiles with his shield. Looks like you'll need your sword after all. Towns have more NPCs, a farmer and another woman. Each have their own cute little dialogue and make the towns feel more lively. There are also a few more tiles added to each town to give that mellow towny feel. Word is, there are also normal houses you can enter which are inhabited by the locals. Give him a nice talk. The blacksmith has just moved in to his new shop. He's not entirely ready to start upgrading your weapons though. He has a more pressing problem. The fire staff is now more expensive and does less damage. It's also faster and does area damage now. An abundance of new sounds have been added as well to accompany these new changes. And, as usual, countless bugs have been squashed. This update is currently live and will be the last update to the public game until release, so make sure you go play it. You can go ahead and download it for free at my itch.io page or GameJolt, whichever one you'd like. Wow, that was a lot of stuff. Now that we've covered all the changes, let's go ahead and talk about the future. There's a really cool feature in one of my old games, Devlog. It's sort of like an almanac of all the enemies that updates as you encounter them. It would give you some helpful descriptions, weaknesses, and information on enemies you encounter. The weapon upgrading system is going to be really cool. Weapons like bows will be stronger against flying enemies, and weapons like the fire staff will be stronger against cold enemies. Each weapon will have 2 upgrade paths, each one unlocking new abilities and appearances for the weapon. You'll be forced to choose. I would also love to add an ability system. Each world would unlock a new ability for you, which you may need to progress in the next world. In case you couldn't tell by now, the next world is a tundra. This means slippery ice, blizzards, and icy cold enemies. The fire staff would help you melt ice blocks so you could get across to icy chests and unique areas. Hail could even rain down from the sky, occasionally hurting the player if they're out in the open. There could even be icy caves with saber-toothed tigers. There's so many awesome things I want to try, and I can't wait to start doing it this summer. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed, join me over on Discord for some extra content and sneak peeks, and support me over on Patreon for some unique rewards. And I'll see you in Devlog number 13.